Well, hello. I have promised before to make a mech tutorial. How to build a mech in Garry's mod. So here it is. We shall build a mech in Garry's mod. So, first we're going to build the frame, or the mech itself. And then we're going to apply the technique, which will make it moving. And also there are many different ways to make a mech move. Although you can use a ship, E2, expression 2, there is a mech ship, but in this tutorial I will not show how to use this mech ship, because there are already many tutorials on how to make a mech with the expression ship, and I don't really like to use that. It's not my way of making a mech. So I'm basically going to show you how to make a basic mech. So this is 2 legs. This is going to be a mech, 2-legged mech, robot. You know, as you're watching this tutorial, you probably know what I'm going to build. We have no collided them, these props, so that they won't collide. And now we're going to axis them. This is nothing complex. Just right click around there, right click and right click again. Now we shall have the base prop, which the share and everything will be on, and you will use no collid again, no collid this to that and that to that. It's quite important that the legs are in the middle of this prop. The different techniques we're going to use to make the mech stand is hoverballs, thrusters and elastics. Which elastics is the most realistic and actually the worst way. It's easy to get it very laggy, and when you use elastics you can't load the mech especially heavy. But it's very cool with the elastic mech that works, because it has a realistic feeling over it. That's the reason why I do not like the E2. That makes it very unrealistic. Well, when you build a mech you want it to work as good as possible, but I think they are working too good with E2. There is no sport in building a E2 mech. The sport with building an E2 mech is to apply advanced weapon systems and further on. Especially ACF weapons. They're quite heavy, so it's impressive when you can make maneuverable maneuverable mechs with ACF. As the weapon systems I watch on YouTube are quite complex on the ACF and expression 2 mechs, but I guess that's only because I do not know how to use those systems. It's especially complex as you can't change the weight on ACF weapon, because if you change the weight on ACF weapon, or on the other hand ammunitions to the ACF weapons, they stop working. Well, it's quite important. We're going to no collid feet to the both leg parts in case of. Now it's important that these feet are in the middle of the mech, so that the mech will have a better balance. It's very important to have good balance when you use elastics, because the feet has to be quite big when you use elastics, bigger than other types of mechs. It's not necessary to have, you can have very small feet when you use thruster lifted mech or hoverball lifted mech. They just need to be heavy, but we're going to change the weight afterwards in this video. That looks quite nice. Perhaps it's... I don't think we need to make the feet even bigger. I think they're big enough, but it might happen that we need to make them bigger. So when we use the elastics. Well, now we do not want that the mech's legs starting to go backwards / the other way, so we will put a rope between that, you see, like this. So it's be sure to uncheck the rigid. It must be unchecked so that the ropes can move this way but not that way. Yes. And I'm also going to put limits to how the feet can move, because it looks very weird if the feet move in unnatural ways. And the rope has to be not rigid, of course. So we're going to put limits like that, I think. And now we have the basic structure of the mech. We're going to add arms and weapons and stuff later, but now we're just going to build the mech so it can walk. Now we start to use the weight tool. This weighs 800 and this weighs 60, and that's obviously not going to work. I think we're going to put 200 on the base prop and then 80, and the feet needs to be quite heavy. I think 200 maybe, or 150. I will probably change it. You have to tweak the preferences on the weight and stuff later. But anyways, of course you can make a wire mech. Maybe I show that later in this or another video, but we're going to make a regular mech. You can apply the same techniques with just wire mod. The only thing is it takes a bit more time, but you can also do more advanced things with your mech. So I want my mech to lift the left leg on numpad 1 button. You can choose any button, just remember them. We're going to have no effects, and reverse, we're not going to have reverse. I just put it on a key I won't use and delete I won't use. Crap. Now I'm going to put on some thrusters on the mech, so that on numpad 1 the mech's leg will move forward and also lift. On the keypad 2 the mech will move the right leg forward and lift it. So now the only thing that remains is how the mech will not collapse, because if I unfreeze it, it will just collapse like that. And yeah, I can kind of walk. Now I press 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It kind of looks like a frog. And that's not my intention. Now, the different techniques you can use to make the mech stand is 1. Hoverballs. Hoverballs are very effective. They are not quite very realistic, though, unfortunately. You can make anything with hoverballs, but the realistic feeling is kind of none. But when you make a very heavy mech with advanced weapon systems and stuff, it can actually be a good thing with hoverballs. Well, I'm going to elevate it a bit like that. And now I test it. 1, 2, 1, 2. I think... Oh, I need to down to the ground a bit. I can now see that these thrusters are too heavy or too strong for the weight of this mech, which I should have known, but instead of changing anything else, we're going to make this mech heavier. 300 maybe, and 100 on each leg part. I really like the color of these office boxes. Now we have a more heavy, nice feeling of the mech. But hoverballs is not the most realistic way to make a mech, and is only advisable when the mech is very heavy, or if you need extreme stability, maybe if you have complex weapon systems or something. I can see that we need to move those thrusters a bit, because the way the mech lifts its legs are quite weird. So, remove. Be careful to not point on the wrong thing while you're using the remove button. Well, right leg, we're going to put it a bit more backwards. There, I think. And then we're changing this button to keypad 1 button, like that. Now, yes, this is nicer. Oh, and something that is very unrealistic with the hoverballs is that the mech cannot tilt over. A mech should have the weakness that it is possible to tilt it, and that's the good thing with what do you call them? Elastics. But a mech that uses hoverballs is very, very stable. I must see, I can prove the stability of this mech, I think. Now I will probably fail, but if I just stand on the mech. Yep. That's the stability of a hoverball mech. Now we should remove these hoverballs, and we're going to do a thruster lifted mech. The days when I used to make mechs, when we had the keep upright tool, it was much easier to make a thruster lifted mech. And you don't have to have the large thruster models. You can use any thruster model. What matters is how heavy it is. So you can change the power of the thruster by changing the weight on the thruster. And this is where we need to use elastics. And this is not the elastic mech, this is the thruster lifted mech. But you anyways have to use the elastics. We're going to use elastics. Elasticity 10,000. Yeah, that's probably right. Oh crap, no Oh, 10,000, yes. And 2,000 damping. That's basically the bounciness. Let's see. I will just put them this way so I can show you. I do not know if this thruster is strong enough, but we will see. Now it kind of stands. And now we push out thruster and I can see it's too weak. So we're going to change the weight. Let's double the power by changing weight to 2. Now it's 1. Now it's 2. So now it's much more strong. And you can see it wobbling forward and backwards. That's why you cannot put the elastics this way. That's basically what I wanted to show. You have to put them in a cross also, and that will reduce the forward and backwards wobbling effect. So let's find the elastic right in front of me. To this, and this corner to that corner. Now we have this cross also. That's good. You can put the thickness of the elastic rope width so that it's invisible if you want to. Now it looks like something's seriously wrong. Well. The elastics are too strong. Then we need to tweak that. We remove all the elastics. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that. And half the strength of them. So we use 5,000. No. 5,000. That should be enough. No, wait. I have them on... yeah, 5,000. And it still tilts backwards, but that's not a problem. That's more a aesthetic problem. Or we can try to straighten it up. And now it straightens up too much. When you won't have the keep upright tool, it's actually quite nice to only use elastics. This is not the optimal mech, but I guess you will not want to watch me redo it. I think the elastics should be a bit stronger here on the backside. You simply need to tweak all mechs to make them work. And now while we have these elastic lifted mech, it's possible to tilt it over. Well, this is basically the way to make a mech. Their legs are moved by thrusters. It's almost impossible to lift them by hydraulics. If you do that, you have to have one hydraulic that lifts the leg up. Simultaneously, you have to have a weld latch which locks this and this props into one. Otherwise, the only thing that will happen when the mech lifts its leg is that it collapses. I'm going to show you what happens if we try to lift this leg. It kind of collapses just. So that we will not want. Well, this is a mech. We're going to use a last... There are 2 more ways of making a mech. I completely forgot, I'm sorry. We're going to remove all the elastics and the extra prop and stuff. And I made... In the days I made the striker mech warrior in this way. You use a frame which it will stand on. Whoops, that flew away. Well, let's see here. Oh, I earned the achievement creator. Happy me. This is basically a frame that will support the mech, and we're going to weld these parts to the base prop. And we're going to change the material, where is fizz properties, to ice. Yes. And we're going to weld it, whoops, to the base prop. And we're going to change the weight to 150 should be enough. And watch, it stands. Oh, I forgot. And of course, we're going to no-color this. This is a quite unrealistic way to make a mech, but the stability is extreme. And you won't use, what do we call them? Hoverballs. Whoops. That happens when I remove the front part. So this is a very stable mech. It looks quite nice. When you remove the color of these. So that's another way of how to make a mech. But the base system is basically thruster, propelled legs / feet, and a skeleton similar to this. Of course, this is the chicken leg system. You can just reverse or put this thruster on this side, and you will have the human leg size leg system, I mean, so it will walk this way. But I really like the this chicken legged mech systems. So these mechs are usually quite fast. And the trick in making a mech is how to make the mech stand. And even though elastic is cool, this way and hoverballs is easier, especially if you're making your first mechs. Well, now we're going to put on the rest of the systems. We're needing a chair. But now I'm going to show you how to make the rest of the systems to make a complete mech. But for all of you who want to see how to make the complete mech, watch me. And of course you can use Gmod to make more advanced systems, but here I'm using regular Garry's mod. Now it's hard to find. This prop is quite good. We're going to make the arms, and we're going to make a way to lift the arms. Now call it these two. Everything, and put them there. This way I'm going to use to make the arms lift is old-fashioned, but maybe that's who I am. Let's weld them. Now we want some arms. If you want me to show you of how to making a even more advanced mech, you can poke on me, so we'll make a wire mod mech, but I suspect that people want a tutorial of how to make our mech, or maybe beginners, so then I make this more simpler version of a mech. Well, somewhere you have to start. Now we have welded them, so the arms are moving. Now we want to lock them in place and use the winch tool. Down arrow and up arrow. We're going to make them longer. I point down on enter and point up at plus, keypad plus button. elastic from there to there, and there to there. And as they are not individual, we're going to weld them together. Oh, we lift our arms. You see? That's cool. And now I think I do not have the turret. I do not think I have the turret tool, but you can give it turrets there. But I can show you, I have turrets implemented in Gmod, so even though I said I would not, I will now make a half Gmod mech. Well, bullet spread is good, because this mech will not be very exact in aiming, as this system of aiming is quite simple. But anyways, it's so hard to find this advanced pod controller when they have renamed it to pod controller. I hate it every time. It's super hard to find. I hate it. Well, let's connect everything up. Fire on mouse button 1. Everything should work fine, so I'm just going to test the mech. Maybe I will fail, I don't know. Zombies. Zombies won't do me no harm. Maybe I want the camera, so you can see the coolness of this mech. And this uses the frame to walk. Well, now my leg is half crappy, but anyways, it's actually quite crappy. I should really fix that. Now I step over this. Okay, this turns out I'm chased by the zombies. Maybe I can let's kill them all. Kill them. This is why you have bullet spread, because you won't need to be such exact while aiming. Well. We're going to remove all the zombies. Ow! And I said zombies can't hurt me. And I'm going to put another prop on the feet, the one I removed before, in order to make it more stable. Or make the feet not tilting over in wrong ways. I'm sorry about that. Well, 150 should be enough this time too. No collar them to anything. Like that. And weld them to the feet. Like that. Okay. I think... Yep, now it works much better. This is that mech. This is the problem while you have them balancing on the frame, because they have a hard time moving over small obstacles. They can move over terrain ground if the terrain ground are not steppy, if they're smooth. It needs smoothness, so it's not a very good city mech. But it's quite stable. And with this system, it's possible that the mech tilts over, but it's hard. So it's semi-super stable, like you can, but it's hard. Well, now I have showed you of how to build the basic mech. Actually, I think I will do the tutorial of a running mech in another tutorial, because otherwise this tutorial will be all too long. So, that's enough for this time. Thank you for watching.